Hi, my name is Michael Bean, and this is your free lesson for myfreeactingclass.com for Wednesday, November the 11th. Today we are talking to UK-based actor and talent agent Marina O'Shea, who is joining us from at midnight her time to talk about the industry over there and agenting in general. And so a lot of what she has to say about being a talent agent is going to be widely applicable to talent agents in North America if you're based in North America. And so if you are in the UK, it's a great time to ask your specific UK questions. And if you're in North America, it's a great time to ask your talent agent questions in a way that is very low stakes because Marina works in a completely different market. And so it's not like, oh, I've hurt my chances with Marina by asking a dumb question. No, perfect. Ask all your dumb questions. There are no dumb questions. And so Marina, this is Marina O'Shea.
Hello, everybody.
Uh,
Nice to see you. I'm glad to be here and be able to offer what advice I can. Thank you for inviting me along.
Oh, thanks so much for coming. Can you talk a little bit just about sort of the broad strokes of your journey, as a performer, and then transitioning into also being a talent agent?
Yeah, of course. I mean, they are very broad strokes.
Yes.
It's a fun industry that we have over here, and I've been very lucky in part to have the people I've had around me to give advice, which is why I'm always happy to pass that on to other people and give advice to them. So I've been performing for about 15 years now. I ended up writing, producing, directing my own work. I actually chose university rather than drama school, which is a big deal over here in the UK. There's about, I would say it's less now. We'll get to that later. It might be one of the queries you have for me. But at the time when I was training, there was really only about 15 schools that you could go to, and they were hard to get into, where you could then really bank on being castable after that and break into the industry. There was only really 15 of them. And I had my heart set on one in London. And then I went, and I really didn't like and it's really what began my journey of doing so many different things, is I really didn't like the way that actors were being churned out there. They were like clones of each other. So I made a decision at that point to go, I was offered a place, and I thought, oh, I'm not sure about this. So I began by asking exactly the right thing all of you are doing right here. Is reaching out to people whose work I respected. I was very lucky. I moved away from home at the age of 16 to go to a particular performing arts college. So college comes before drama school, where all the teachers were working in the industry. So my dance teacher was working with Michael Jackson, Ali G, Steps, that level. And same with my drama teachers. They were working in the industry alongside teaching us. So as the drama teacher whose work I respected, I went to her and said, what's your advice? And she was like, be a thinking actor. Go to a place that's going to teach you how to think and teach you how to be a business, because that is what's going to give you longevity in your career. And based on that, she sent me off to university. She guided me towards Exeter, which is where I am at the moment, still here, haven't left, which is in the southwest of England. So it's quite away from London. But it's a fantastic university with a practical drama course. And on graduating from that university, I got the lead in a feature film, which was an entirely independent film. It was a big deal at the time. It was filmed for 3 years. And through doing that, I just gained so many contacts and learned. It was almost like another 3 years of training, specifically in film and that side of things, which is a film which went off to the Sunset Film Festival. And then just worked it out from there. I got to work alongside, I was the only young graduate in that film. And I got to work alongside some fantastic actors who'd just done everything you can imagine, but were wonderfully gracious and humble and gave me so much advice. One of the key things being, learn how to write. You want to be taken seriously as an actor, and you don't, there's this idea of you've got to get out there and find the work. There was a particular actress who's in, I can't remember her name now, it's gone out of my mind, but she's been in like Harry Potter and things like that, but she's also done loads of her own work. So if you want to be taken seriously, learn how to make your own work. And you'll value that in the times where there isn't work to be got, but also you'll get taken seriously when you walk inside an audition room. And that was a game changer for me. So fast forwarding, after that, I just started making my own work. And as you'll see the picture behind me, actually, in the surfboards there, became part of a comedy duo that toured the UK with a little spot on TV over in America. We're a female duo. We toured for 7 years. We evolved into a physical theatre company. Along that time journey, I got an agent as well. And then it's kind of speeding up to where we are now. Sadly, I got injured performing, and it took me out for a little bit. So I said to my agent, I was like, I'd worked in a drama school as well. It's where I met the lovely Lavinia. And I said to her, look, I've guided actors' careers for years alongside performing. Can't perform right now because of my foot injury. Do you want me to come help build the agency with you and help with artist development? And he luckily went, yeah. And I've been doing that now for 2.5, nearly 3 years, and it's been really invaluable to learn that other side of it that goes on.
Right. Right. So it's still fresh for you. So we're also getting you like before bitterness is set in, and while you're still in the flow of good learning. I'm just going to hop on for a second to give this reminder, because it's been so long since I've done this, of sort of where the talent agent is on the actor's food chain, which is like, producer or producers are the decision makers. They control the money. They make the final decision about the project. Director is in charge of the story. They are hired by the producers, but they have strong influence. Though these two people hire the casting director, particularly the producer hires the casting director. This person's only job it is to say, hey, we need roles, and then set up the auditions. The casting director does not decide who gets cast. They just decide who gets the audition. Talent agent are the people who receive the, hey, we need actors from the casting directors. They're the only people who receive that. And they're the ones who are basically professional salespeople whose only product is actors. We're like, my actors are amazing. Oh my gosh, you should see my actors. And talent agents only work on commission. So they have no incentive to fib to their actors. They have no incentive to not to submit you for things. Every time they have something that comes up where they think that the actor even might have a shot at getting an audition, they're going to send it in because they want to eat. Like, that's the way talent agenting works. It's a lot of hustle, very long days, lots of emails, lots of phone calls, because they are trying to sort of get work for their roster of actors. And then there's the actors down here who are responsible for themselves and all of their marketing materials, which actors sometimes forget. So that we have that context going in, and for the people who are watching it on YouTube later.
It's a really good point to mark out. I think people get a bit confused or blurred on the lines on that.
Totally, they're like, my agent's not giving me enough auditions, or which just shows such a misunderstanding of what that relationship is and can be. And so, can you talk a little bit about what that sort of job of being a talent agent actually looks like or feels like? So I've given us the broad strokes, but now we've got you and your eyeballs, and we want to know sort of, what does it feel like? What does it actually like for you?
Well, I guess to put it in a bit of context for me, I'm coming at it from a bit of a different point, and we're talking an interesting time, because the industry has shifted a lot in the last 5 to 8 years in the UK, where it used to be a very shut down system from drama school, like I was talking about. You would then get a showcase, get an agent, and that agent will sign you up if they think they can sell you, essentially. And you couldn't do it on your own. Well, the industry has changed a lot, just like the radicalization of self-tapes and everything like that. But the way people operate and how casting directors cast has changed a lot in the UK as well. So actually, people can represent themselves. They won't get as much work as an agent because there's just such an overspill. There's so many. The agency the experience that I have, I'm very ethical about it, because having worked in a drama school, like I said, for 11 years, I feel like there's a lack of social responsibility about the amount of people that are interested in performing and the amount of work that's actually out there at the end. And so there is an ethical concern there that I felt was very important for me when I was looking for an agent. So I waited a long time till I got an agent, and I went down the path of actually finding my own work, making my own work, making my connections, until I could get to a point where it was worthwhile going with an agent, if you see what I mean. And secondly, when I became an agent, of saying, if I'm coming on board with this, we're not just talking about the sell and the money. We're talking about a lifelong marriage to every client we have. But every client that comes on board with us also has to commit to a level of development, you know, of signing up to make sure that every area of their life, they're looking at it and working with us if that's the goal that they want to get to, if you see what I'm saying.
Great.
So for me, that first year, I had to come in to sort of change things up and shift them around, and there were actors on that roster. I cut our roster down as well. That's not to be cruel, that's to be realistic so that we can actually focus on these clients and bring them long-term work. But there were a lot of, and I find it a lot in the industry, a lot of people who just didn't understand the level of work and commitment and sacrifice it takes. And had a little bit of a wake-up call when I came in and went, right, I'm working 24/7 for you, but you are for me as well. You know, I need you to do these things. You need to be prepared in these ways. That cut half our books down, because what you end up with as a talent agent, if I get you an audition and I get you in the room, that's already been a fight for me to get you there. You have to deliver, and if you don't deliver, that's wasted all of my time and effort. So if you're not prepped, you haven't done the work, or whatever, you don't look like your headshot because you haven't updated your headshot, whatever it is, you have broken your end of the deal. That first year was really hard work, because it always is, coming in and changing that, having to have tough conversations with people, having a lot of actors face up to the fact that they don't have the mental strength that it takes, which is a lot to do with some people who haven't done any formal training. You know, it's a funny thing with acting. I think people forget this. Not everybody needs to have that formal training. If you've got a talent and you can hone it and, you know, find your way to get some experience to hone it, that's great. But actually what a formal training is good for is the mental strength that it takes, the mental training of what that kind of job requires.
Beautiful.
Pleased to say, after that first year, the roster we have now, they're just brilliant. They just get it. They know what it's about. You know, they're just, and everybody's happy. That's the end result, is that we're not having actors taking mental health breaks, which is a standard thing across, you know, that level of sort of agency and high profile work. We've got actors doing West End tours, sometimes very long contracts and things like that. Everyone's happy. So it's been a nice year and a half since then.
It's great.
Changes implement and how that's benefiting everybody, I think. Yeah.
And so am I understanding it right that, you know, 5 to 8 years ago, there was a certain amount of, you had to have trained at one of these schools in order to get an agent. And it sounds like casting also, you had a certain bias towards those drama schools?
Absolutely. If you walked into even getting you in the door, it depended what drama school you trained at and what agent you had.
Okay.
You know, it was very shut door, but it's shifted entirely away from that now.
Okay.
For a lot of reasons, which I won't bore you with.
No, that's really interesting. Yeah, the Vancouver, you know, where we are, has almost gone the other way. You know, where if you'd ask people 25 years ago, they're like, "Oh no, she's a theater actor." You know, and over the last like 20, 25 years, you know, casting directors in Vancouver have come to realize, oh no, like she's a theater actor. That means she does like real acting.
Yeah.
You know, but that's interesting that, you know, there's been, you know, some kind of like equalizing, you know, of the of folks, you know, in the UK who are like, oh no, only actors from these, you know, 15 schools are real actors, to sort of being more open to seeing anybody who's working hard and doing skilled work. You know, what before I open it up to questions, you know, what advice would you give to, you know, an actor starting in the UK? You know, and for context, you know, Claudine, who's with us, her son is 9. You know,
Okay.
you know, and so it'd be useful to hear that, you know, like the advice that you would suggest for an actor getting started in the UK, and also for a young actor getting started.
Absolutely, no problem at all. And what you'd be pleased to know, I hope, Claudine, is that I actually ran a drama academy for children. With another performer I know, we ran it. It's very successful. We had to stop because we were just performing ourselves too much. We couldn't keep the commitment up. But we run it for that reason. We got approached all the time at advice how to, because kids, they're quite young when they get into it, but they're going to have a bug for it, and they got talent for it as well. And I certainly myself, it's probably around 8, I think, when I first went to stage school. My key bit of advice for you, and it's what we ran our drama academy with, is keep it fun. I know that sounds stupid, but everybody rushes to sort of think, oh, should they be doing this at this point? I mean, there are agencies out there that represent children. You've probably heard of them. There's
I think Claudine's son is represented currently.
Oh, yeah, perfectly. So he's already represented, so he's already doing that. But keep the fun in there for as long as you can. Keep the fun in there. That is really important. Secondly, we're talking at a different level here. If he's already got an agent, one thing that is really vital to invest in is speech lessons. Speech for the actor over here in the UK, so important. Anybody who does like Lambda speech lessons are pretty good. I'm happy to give you some recommendations and send you some follow-up. But focus on speech is really good. Accent work, I can't tell you. Us British over here steal all the US jobs because every pilot sees that's what we get flooded with. If he can nail, a standard US accent, and if he can do dialect coaching, actually is the thing I would highly recommend. Depending on where you are in the UK, there's some fantastic, Jackie Craigo, a good friend of mine. She's Royal Shakespeare Company. She's the Warhorse voice coach. When you go and do a workshop with someone like her, you just realise the level to get to out there. And if he starts that young, he'll just be flying as he gets older. But it's also a good practice to get into the routine of as well. Yeah.
Wonderful. That's great. And in case we have anybody who's sort of in the UK who's in that older age category, even if they're not joining us live, what would you recommend for somebody who's say like finishing high school or even approaching this as an adult? Here in Vancouver, and we've even got some people in this lesson who are coming to film and TV acting as an adult, and trying to figure that out.
I would tell them, go and get involved in a theatre play. It's the very first thing you should do at whatever level you can. Theatre is the real acting. People forget this. I spent a day with, what's his name? Really famous actor. Oh, it's going to be so annoying because it's not relevant without remembering his name. But he's been in all of the big crazy films like, it's going to really, Lord of the Rings. Who's the wizard in Lord of the Rings?
Oh, Ian McKellen.
Ian McKellen, there you go. Spent a day with Ian McKellen, brought him in to speak to my students, and he blew everyone's mind by saying, the best place to start is theatre. I didn't get any film offers until I started. I worked my way fully through theatre, and it helps you on every level. You build a community, you build your own networks, you learn the trade from the bottom up. It's so vital. But most importantly, you learn the love of the trade as well. Film is so different, to theatre. It's very isolated, it's very separate, it's very egotistical, it can be, because you're working on your own. Theatre, you have to be part of something, you have to be part of a machine and an engine, and it teaches you that's really what acting in the UK is all about. You have to get in that network, you have to be part of that engine with everybody. Theatre's the best place to start, whatever level it is, to get some sense of it. And then moving up from there, you need some sort of formal training. I'm not saying you need 3 years, but some investment in your in voice training or things like that to keep your skills good. And finally, write. Even if you don't get good at it, write. It's so valuable for you to be able to create your own piece of work. Even if you're just being able to have that skill to write, I think is really important.
Beautiful.
I'm trying to wrap up for you because I'm watching the time go like.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy how fast it goes. But I hope you could see Candy's face as you were saying all that. She was like, "Oh,
good."
Right? And she's in San Diego, but still, it's the. This is really solid advice for anybody. Thank you.
I'm so pleased to.
So let's open it up for questions. If you've got a question, feel free to jump in or just wave your hand in the air. And Claudine, do you have something that's top of mind? Do you want to start us off?
Yeah.
Okay. So with the COVID, has it affected? I've got 2 children, so one of them's 5 and one of them's 8. He's almost 9. Right in saying when the children are 9, they possibly get more work because they can do longer hours?
I think that might be. I mean, the regulations have changed a lot in that, so you need to check it properly.
Oh,
Your
okay.
agent should be aware of that. But I know as they get older, they are allowed to do more work, just any job really, any job a child does.
And is it mainly family bubbles and everything at the moment? Have you found that it's all mainly?
It has to be at the moment. It's amazing how much work there is. I've seen a lot of kids casting actually, but they are asking for family bubbles in it. I have been seeing things come through, which is individual children going up for stuff. But yeah, I mean, at the moment it's on a shutdown entirely. But I'm seeing coming in, and they're planning things for when we come out of lockdown, which is kind of crazy because we don't know whether we will for sure, but they're kind of rolling with it.
Okay.
Film a backup.
Okay, and both my children are with 2 different agents, and I've told them to put them both through for sibling jobs or family jobs, but I don't know whether they are or whether it's so difficult to work with 2 different agents and tell them can they work together or?
Well, it would be sensible for them to do so, but then having said that, I know what it's like running an agency, and just talking to my other 2 team members, that's my day, do you know what I mean? So trying to work with another agency is hard work. That's really tricky though, because there will be a lot of sibling jobs coming up. I could be missing out on. Why aren't they with the same agent?
Because my son is with I don't know. My daughter's just started out. My son is more established.
Ah, right, okay, all right.
But then my daughter has got quite a few things just recently. So, I mean, I don't know. It's difficult because you have an agent that you aim for, and then I got my son into him. But then, of course, they wouldn't have taken my daughter because she didn't have anything. But now my daughter's got stuff, but both agents are nice. Yeah,
it's a shame they wouldn't consider it. But a tip for you then, you probably already know it, so I don't want to patronise you, but in case you don't, if you've got any concerns that they're not doing the things you ask them to do, you can ask for a monthly review. So you can get a list of the jobs that both your kids have been put up for. Yeah. That's you can flag it then.
In general, Marina, because the same is true in my market, that I think agents even have to give you the report if you ask. Now Canada is particularly conflict averse, and so I've heard mixed reports about how agents feel about being asked. And some agents are definitely like, "What, you don't trust me? Fine, here it is, but I hate you." And some of them are like, "Oh yeah, no problem, here it is." How do you feel about being asked for that? And what advice would you give to an actor who is going to ask their agent to show them?
Yeah, I'd say have a conversation first, because I'm not going to lie to you. When we get there, I want to see my monthly submissions. There's an internal conversation that takes place of, well, obviously that there's a problem there. What's their problem? But then again, what we try to do is go back to them and say, that's absolutely fine, but can we have a conversation? What's going on for you? How do you feel about things? Because in a way of, we want you to not to feel afraid to ask us that, but we also want to be able to have an open, honest relationship with you, because we've got a small roster, we can give them that time to do it. And then often what happens is they don't even want to see the submissions, because half the time it's not going to tell you that bit of paper what we've done that month. But it at least gives them a chance to say, prod us basically and say something's up, and it's then our duty of care to go back and go, you can have it, but can we have a conversation, what's wrong? And then lead to whatever it is they need us to look at in a different way. So maybe that might be the case for you, Claudine, is that you can say, could I have this, see, or open up a conversation with them. I don't know how you feel, one of them's a fairly new agent, the other one you probably don't want to upset because you've been working well for your son. But you should never be afraid. I pick up on this a lot, of people thinking, I don't want to piss off my agent. Well, it's just no different to how we've all got to be kind to each other, isn't it? It's how you approach that. It's just be open and honest about it. You should never be afraid to approach your agent. If you are, something's wrong.
That's beautiful, clear advice, for actors in any market at all.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have a question for Moira? I mean, I'm happy to let Claudine ask all the questions, but I see some of you sitting on questions. What do you got? Yeah, go ahead, Candy, jump in.
Hello. Hi.
Hiya.
Hi, Marina. Thank you so much for everything you shared. It's awesome. And thank you, Michael. So really super helpful. I guess I had questions. So I'm new to acting. I don't have an agent or anything yet. So you were talking about when you were getting started and like acting and then getting an agent. I just wondered, I kind of wrote it down.
Yeah.
What did you look for in your talent agent for yourself, and how did you find them?
Oh, great question. Really good question. You hit the nail on the head here. I looked for somebody who wasn't just a talent agent, because I am not just an actor. There's lots of things I want to do, and it really matters to me, the relationship I have with the people that I work with. So I went with a talent agent who was an actor as well, who understood the process. That was invaluable to me. I actually pick headshot photographers who have been actors before, because they just get it. They understand it. They understand you better, and then you get better results. How did I find him? I actually found him through Actors UK Facebook group. So I trawl lots of different things. You know, a lot of the world is now, you see me having a bit of a grump about this, a lot of the world is now online. That's because when I first came to it 15 years ago, it was all in person. And you had to do the work on foot to get to know people. You still do have to do that, absolutely. But because I wanted something so specific in an agent, I was aware of all the bigger agents, and they didn't want a big agent. So I got approached by a big agent, and I waited until I'd done enough of my own work so I could have a bit of a different relationship with an agent as well. So I didn't feel afraid or scared. So I actually waited a long time before, I think 10 years into my career, before I went, all right, I have an agent. And I turned an agent down before that who who represents Russell Howard and that level of client. Because I was lucky enough again to get good advice from someone represented by that agency who said, yeah, they're going to snap you up because you're the next hot thing. But the trouble with that is they're going to end up not giving you that absolute attention. And the worry with that, they'll focus on their big stars, forget about you. And I just thought, oh, I don't really want that. And I'm happy doing what I'm doing, you know. It's all about what you really want from it. And I'll be honest with that, a lot of actors get into it thinking, I want fame. I'm actually intently shy, which is madness, really. It's you get two sides of it with performers. You get some who are very much like, wow, you know. You get very shy people who just have a crazy side to them that now and then like to teeter out and do things. But fame has never been my goal. So I make that clear. Fame's fine if you want it, or, you know, want enough that you can buy mansions. And that's where the big boys come in, if that's what your aim is. For me, it never was. So that changed what I was looking for and where I went to look for them. But yeah, Actors UK, definitely join it. It's a Facebook group. It's a global Facebook group, even though it's UK, because there's so much useful information in there that people share with each other. I'll tell you what, not the biggest fan of Facebook or social media, but there are some really good Facebook groups and forums out there where people are helping and supporting each other and sharing really valuable information. And that's where I found my agent. So
one of the other things that I've heard recommended, and this goes back to Bonnie Gillespie, Candy, who's sort of closer to your market and whose work I recommend you looking at. But if you especially use something like IMDb Pro, you can figure out who the agents are that are close to you, and then stalk them. Bonnie recommends using Google Alerts, and basically setting it up so that you get an email every time that agent posts anything publicly, every time they're doing a public workshop, you know, that still, if you can be in the room with somebody, it makes a difference, even if you are just one of the audience, right? So if you send an email to somebody like Marina and you're like, hey, I looked at you online, which took, you know, all of 30 seconds, and I think you're awesome. It's way different than if you're like, hey, Marina, I heard you speak to the blah, 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 or I was part of this Zoom workshop that you took, you know, and, you know,
exactly that.
Like this specific thing you said was meaningful to me. Like I put in more effort than just doing a quick Google search and plugging your name into a form letter.
And you've done your research, because that's exactly part of this Facebook group. I was following it. I was looking at who was who, doing my research. So when he put a post out, I was on it. I was the first one on it saying, yes, if your books are open, I'm there. I've seen you and we've talked for a while. But also I have a very, very intent understanding of all the agents there are in the UK already. So there's years of work there of understanding who big boys are, whatever there is, but then going, what do I want and how do I find it? And like you said, that's a great suggestion. You've just got to have your finger on the button all the time, looking and, you know, things like that. Yeah, I hope that's helpful.
That's so helpful. Great. Is there anybody who's got like a last, especially if it's short, burning question before we let Marina get ready for bed because she's already stayed up late for us? Yeah, Ken, do you want to jump in with the last question?
Okay, sorry, and you can answer this like however in brief. Okay, so it was, okay. So for you, since you're now an agent yourself, what does it look like when you sit down with an actor and you like want to talk about working together? You could be super brief because I gotta go.
That's okay. You broke up a little bit. Could you just repeat it?
Oh, sorry. Okay. Yeah. When you sit down with an actor and you both want to work together, what does that look like? What's the conversation like?
Oh, do you know what? They're some of the
Is that
best...
too long?
No. There's some of the best memories of my life. It's literally, what do you do? I do this. What do you want to do? I remember sitting down. So this is my comedy partner. I don't know if you can see her. The lights on her there. Tess. She was finishing drama school, and I went to see a show. And then I said, okay, let's meet up for a coffee after that. And I said, what do you want to do? What do you want to do with your life? Where are you at? So I said, I want to be a comedian, a writer. I want to do all these things. What do you want to do? She said, oh, actually, I want to do Shakespeare. That's my goal. That's why I've done this training. And I went, brilliant. Come and do a comedy show with me. And it just kind of convinced her, really. Just giving people the chance. I guess, really, it comes back to fun. Bring it to that. Say, hey, what are you doing? What am I doing? Why don't we just enjoy this project? And I have so many times having to remind actors about that. And then they go out and they do it. And they're like, oh my God, we had not only a great time, but we put this show on ourselves and we got casting directors, we invited them and agents there, and this happened and that happened. And it's like, yeah. And just because you said, do you fancy doing it? Like, you know, it can be as informal or formal as you like. It depends who you are. You're probably getting the idea from me that I like being quite informal because I like the idea of play. Let's enjoy it. Let's be fun. But yeah, I hope that answers it. I think be brave, be bold, and put the question out there.
Beautiful. What a great spot to end with a reminder of fun and with be brave, be bold, and put it out there. Great. Marina, thank you so much for joining us. Tomorrow, like I said yesterday, Rogi Yu had booked a job on a show, but he'll be back. So he won't be our guest tomorrow. Instead, we'll probably be doing an Ask Me Anything. I have more to say about goal setting that I didn't get to say yesterday. So I might give you a little teaser of that tomorrow, but I want your questions. Every time you ask questions, it gets me thinking about good things. So everybody give Marina some love.
Oh, thank you guys. Pleasure, and I hope it was helpful.
Thank you.
Oh, so helpful. Thank you so much. Okay. Bye, everyone.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye, Michael Bean.
Bye.